Tonight on Reporting Scotland, police search for a man after an 8-year-old boy is sexually assaulted while camping in the Highlands. The child was sleeping in a tent on his own at the Loch Ness Bay campsite in Drumnadrochit.
It was a sexual assault on an 8-year-old child, hugely traumatising on the child, hugely traumatising on the family, and will naturally be worrying to the community.
Also on tonight's programme, Scotland braces for its first named storm since Éowyn wreaked havoc in January.
My point is, capitalism won.
Capitalism?
From succession to recession, Brian Cox returns to the Edinburgh stage as a ghost haunting a key figure in the 2008 banking crisis.
Coming up in tonight's sport, we'll have everything to look out for as the new Premiership season kicks off this weekend.
And Spidey senses are tingling as Glasgow stands in for New York in the new Spider-Man film. Hello, I'm Laura Goodwin. Welcome to Friday's programme. Detectives are carrying out extensive inquiries after an 8-year-old boy was sexually assaulted whilst camping with his family in the Highlands. Police Scotland say in the early hours of yesterday morning, a man approached the child within his tent at the Loch Ness Bay campsite at Drumnadrochit. They have given a description of their suspect and specialist officers are supporting the boy and his family. Well, Chris McLennan is at the scene for us this evening. Chris, there must be a sense of shock where you are tonight.
Yes, indeed, Laura. Tonight, this community, it's a small, close-knit community here on the banks of Loch Ness. It's in shock in relation to the events that have taken place in the last 24 hours. Now, in the early hours of yesterday morning in the campsite behind me here, as we say, a young boy, an 8-year-old boy, was sexually assaulted in a tent there. Now, police have been carrying out extensive inquiries today. Specialist officers are supporting the boy and his family, but it has caused real concern in the local community here, where there's that overwhelming sense of upset today, but also of concern, and the overriding feeling today is of shock.
So it's complete shock at what has happened in the community.
Oh, absolutely awful. We're just disgusted that such a thing could happen in our community.
Between midnight and 1 a.m. yesterday, an 8-year-old boy and his family on holiday here from Europe were asleep in this campsite when a man entered the boy's tent and sexually abused them. The boy's parents, who were in the adjacent tent, became aware something was wrong and saw a man leave the area. Police have launched a manhunt to trace the suspect, who is described as white, bald on top, 30 to 50 years old and around 5'10" in height.
It was a sexual assault on an 8-year-old child, hugely traumatising on the child, hugely traumatising on the family, and will naturally be worrying to the community. One of the parents has come out from where they were sleeping and has seen the assailant, the suspect, leaving the area, and that's part of the reason we've got the description that we have.
This small village in the Highlands on the bank of Loch Ness relies heavily on tourists that come here each summer.
We welcome visitors all the time, and we're completely shocked that something like this should happen within our village, and our sorrow that has happened.
Police are keen to hear from anyone with CCTV or dashcam footage from the early hours of yesterday morning. That could help them establish whether the man they are looking for is still in the local area or already a long distance away. Tonight, this village, busy with tourists, is the centre of a major police investigation. Chris McLennan, Reporting Scotland, Drumnadrochit.
Now, warnings for an unusual summer storm have been announced by the Met Office. A yellow alert has been issued for the whole of Scotland on Monday as Storm Floris approaches from the Atlantic. Well, Judith is here to tell us more about what we know and what we don't yet know about this weather event.
Yeah, well, it's forming off the coast of Newfoundland as we speak. It's rapidly deepening cyclogenesis, as we call it in the business, wheeking across the Atlantic, picked up by the jet stream. bringing a swathe of high winds. And it is unusual in the fact it's a summer storm. The trees are in leaf, there will be travel disruption, and warnings will be updated throughout the weekend. I'm going to be on a weekend keeping you up to date on it, but it is unusual. We're looking at some high winds, not quite sure of the track of where the strongest winds will be, but it looks like northern Scotland at the moment, but that could change, but we'll know more tomorrow and on Sunday as well.
OK, and of course you'll be here with a full weather forecast at the end of the
I certainly will.
Judith, thank you very much indeed. Some of the day's other stories now. Summer strikes at Glasgow Airport have been averted after a pay deal was agreed with workers. The Unite unions say the 2-year pay deal, backdated to January, includes a basic 4% rise alongside a one-off £500 payment. Around 100 staff were involved in the dispute, including airside support officers, engineers and managers. Police say a fire at an industrial estate in Glasgow was started deliberately. The blaze broke out at a single-storey commercial building on Stanley Street at about 6:45 yesterday morning. Officers are looking for this man seen entering the site and walking away as the flames took hold. 40 passengers had to be evacuated from a train this morning after reports that carriages were filling with smoke. ScotRail's 536 Inverness to Glasgow service was stopped near Gleneagles and passengers had to climb down ladders onto the tracks. The incident disrupted other services between Glasgow, Aberdeen, Inverness and Edinburgh. There were no reported injuries. Aberdeen City Council says it will begin negotiations with organisers to bring back the Tall Ships Race. The event returned to Aberdeen last month for the first time in 28 years. It brought nearly 50 vessels from around the world and thousands of visitors. A report assessing the tourism impact will be delivered in November. The most serious cases coming before Scotland's courts could face even longer delays despite an ongoing recovery from the COVID pandemic. For the first time, the number of cases waiting to go to trial across the whole court system is lower than it was before the UK's first lockdown. But the number of cases being sent to the High Court, which deals with offences including murder and rape, is going up. Our Home Affairs correspondent David Cowan reports.
In March 2020, the pandemic closed Scotland's courts and brought justice to a halt. 5 years on, the system is still recovering and facing a new challenge. The number of High Court cases is rising. With a limited pool of judges and lawyers and no scope to increase capacity, that means it will take longer to get trials underway. The head of the court service says they're in desperate need of a multi-million-pound investment to modernise the system.
I'm very concerned about the position in the High Court. I'm acutely aware that it has a huge impact on victims, on witnesses, on the accused people that are involved in these cases, on everybody that's working in the system. If cases take longer, then there's a danger that justice isn't best served, and that's not what our ambition is.
Across the courts, for the first time, the number of scheduled trials is lower than it was before COVID. But this is what's happening in the High Court, which deals with offences including murder, rape, terrorism and death by dangerous driving. Just before the pandemic, the number of trials scheduled to come here to the High Court was 390. It's now doubled to more than 800. On top of that, the number of new cases coming to the court is projected to increase by 40%. The average waiting time for a High Court trial had been falling, but it's now creeping back up. This year, it's expected to be 43 weeks, compared to 22 before the pandemic. But the gap between the initial incidents or complaints can be far longer.
I mean, 2 years would be not unusual. It's too traumatising for people having to try and remember so that they can give good evidence at court. Asking people to do that for, 2 years and longer, it's inhumane.
Defence lawyers say funding for prosecutors has gone up, so the same should be done for the court service.
If there are no changes to the resources available to the courts, you're going to inevitably have longer delays, both for witnesses waiting to give the important evidence and for people potentially held in custody awaiting trial.
The Scottish Government pointed out that Scotland is the first part of the UK to have brought court backlog levels down to below COVID levels. It says it's invested more than £200 million to help the system recover from those difficult days, that journey times in criminal cases are being reduced, and 2 bills currently before Parliament will modernise the justice system. David Cowan reporting Scotland, Edinburgh.
Tonight's main news again. Police are searching for a man who sexually assaulted an 8-year-old boy who was camping with his family in the Highlands.
And still to come in the sport, the Premiership returns this weekend. We'll look ahead to the new season.
Now, it's the start of August, and that can only mean one thing. It's the start of festival season in Edinburgh. One of this year's star turns is Brian Cox, returning to the Scottish stage for the first time in a decade. He plays the ghost of economist Adam Smith, haunting one of the key characters of the 2008 financial crash. Our arts correspondent Pauline McLean reports.
The global financial crisis reached into the heart of Scotland's economy today as the nation's biggest company saw its share price go into freefall.
It was the banking crisis which brought a Scottish institution to its knees and sent shockwaves around the world. Now the story of the rise and fall of the Royal Bank of Scotland has been brought home to Edinburgh, where it first began.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see colleagues' reactions, to see the people of Edinburgh. But it has, given that RBS was the biggest bank for a time, was in 50 or more countries, it has a global context as well around what happened during this period.
My point is, capitalism won.
Capitalism.
The story is told through two characters, one real and one imagined. Brian Cox plays the imagined one, the ghost of philosopher Adam Smith, whose advice to Fred Goodwin, the Paisley accountant who led the bank to disaster, falls on deaf ears.
People forget their roots. Your roots are so important here, and that's why I prize my upbringing in Dundee. It was in many ways people would say, that was terrible. No, it wasn't. It was a learning experience, and I'm grateful for it.
The Fringe Festival, which also gets underway today, is even bigger, with almost 4,000 shows. The two biggest of 6 festivals, which run back to back in this city each summer.
The festivals do put pressure on the city. We see that through challenges around connectivity, trying to get Wi-Fi access, and for the festivals trying to get people buying tickets online can be tricky, and we see transport issues as well. But we work with partners to try and solve those. We know that there are steps being taken to try and improve the 5G in the city, and we're really pleased to see that ScotRail, the buses and the trams are all putting on additional services throughout the month.
Add to that 5 stadium concerts at Murrayfield, including 3 by Oasis, and the capital will be anything but quiet in the coming month.
And Pauline joins us now live from the heart of Edinburgh. Pauline, what else can festival goers expect in the month ahead?
Well, Laura, I think you can expect it to be very, very busy. Here's an example. Behind us at the moment, we've got the Fringe in full flow with lots of people trying to promote their shows here. Further up the Royal Mile, we've got the International Festival Hub, where people will be able to come in and buy tickets for all the various shows that they are staging. And above that, again, you've got the tattoo happening every night on the Castle Esplanade. So that's just a little snapshot of what's going on in this part of Edinburgh. So I think you can expect busy streets, busy transport, bustle, and then some. And no one is quite sure what to expect with these extra concerts coinciding. But all the various partners, the council, the festivals, the police, they all say that they're ready for it. And of course, there's much more to come, because these are not the only festivals. We've still got the Film Festival, the Book Festival, and the Art Festival all arriving next week. Not to mention Liam and Noel. It's definitely not going to be quiet.
Oh yes, they're coming as well. OK, Pauline, many thanks indeed. Well, Edinburgh doesn't have a monopoly on festivals in the coming days. Tonight's News at 7 will take you to the Govanhill International Festival and Carnival in Glasgow. Here's a wee taster.
I think it's a community where everyone talks to their neighbour, which is really special, and there are lots of different groups, there's lots of different social enterprises, lots of different community groups, and there's always lots of stuff happening. But it's also a community that houses a huge number of people who describe themselves as artists and creatives. So when you ask them to kind of participate in a festival and you offer them a Creative Neighbourhood grant, which is the first time we've done that this year, they come up with some really dynamic stuff, and they co-create that with the community.
Well, don't forget to turn over to the BBC Scotland channel at 7 o'clock for that. But first, let's get tonight's sport with Lewis. What have you got for us tonight? Are you doing a turn, a song? What we're getting?
Well, I'll save that this time, Laura. Instead, it's all about the Premiership.
Okay.
The wait is finally over. I'm sure many households are starting to be
delighted
for joy or otherwise. Thanks very much, Laura. Hello there. Well, it wasn't much of a break, was it? But the new Scottish Premiership season gets up and running this weekend. Champions Celtic don't play until Sunday. They hosted a media conference today to which the BBC weren't invited, and at which manager Brendan Rodgers said there was no update in terms of his potential contract extension. Rangers kickstart their campaign against Motherwell at Fir Park tomorrow. That's one of just 2 Saturday fixtures. So what are the expectations of those preparing to fight it out once again in a league like no other? Here's our sports news correspondent, Chris McLaughlin.
Good morning, Falkirk Stadium.
New season and a newly promoted Falkirk, the excitement is building and a chance for fans to get what they need for the year ahead. For this club, it's been 15 years since they last tasted life in Scotland's top league.
It's been probably a long time coming for many fans, 15 years since the last time we were in the Premiership, and since the 3rd of May when we managed to get over the winning line. We've been looking forward to this.
The build-up here, of course, is being replicated right across the country. Clubs, players, managers and fans all getting ready for the start of a brand new campaign. Expectations will be highest in Glasgow's East End, where Celtic have come first in 13 of the last 14 seasons.
The expectations are for them to win it, but, you know, we'll look forward to the challenge for across the city this year.
Team all rise to the top, as you say. So.
Well, I think we should, because we are the best team in the land, so without a doubt.
Their rivals have new investment and new hopes that this could be their year.
There's been so much change here from the top in terms of leadership, ownership. I think change can often be really, really messy. And the way the guys are navigating it, I've been really proud of them because it's not easy.
If it is to be a straight battle for the top, then what about the battle to be best of the rest? Dundee United were mostly consistent and will look to build on 4th. Hearts struggled, but under new guidance have big ambitions. Across the city, Hibs started badly but finished on a high. And how far can the feel-good factor of Scottish Cup success take Aberdeen?
You know, we need to go to Falkirk, another difficult away fixture, and hopefully get off to a good start in the league campaign.
We'd like to think that we can be searching and striving for European football in amongst those places.
Now it's back again to another season, and you have to leave it behind and focus on another season. But it was a great summer.
There's plenty of change in the dugout this time. 5 clubs start the season with new managers, all hoping for a change in their new club's fortunes. Some well known, others looking to make their mark in Scottish football for the first time.
For now, I'm just really excited to get started and to get more knowledge about Scottish football and especially ourselves.
Falkirk are not the only newly promoted club. Livingston are also back with big ambitions of their own, so plenty of intrigue as ever.
We don't want to just be here surviving. We want to try and push, and we want to try and do as collectively well we can as a group.
Who wins? Who knows? There's always a story or two, and the first chapter in season 2025-26 begins tomorrow. Chris McLaughlin, reporting Scotland.
And you can read plenty more about your side ahead of the new season on the BBC Sports Scotland website. Now, to some transfer news, and over at Ibrox, Ross McCausland has left Rangers to join Cypriot team Aris Limassol on loan until the end of the season. Coming in, though, is this man, Tottenham Hotspur forward Mikey Moore, also on a season-long loan. Here he is, training with the team this afternoon. The 17-year-old scored once for the London club in 21 appearances and is regarded as one of English football's brightest young talents. Meanwhile, Aberdeen say they've received a significant fee for striker Pape Gay, who's been sold to Turkish Super League side Kasimpasa. Well, before the top flight gets going, the Championship kicks off tonight, with Ayr United travelling to newly promoted Arbroath, who are back in the 2nd tier after a year in League One. Jonathan Sutherland is at Gayfield Park for us.
We have been given precious access to the Arbroath dressing room ahead of the start of the Scottish League season this evening, which kicks off here at Gayfield as Arbroath take on Ayr United. in the Championship. Arbroath have bounced back from League One at the first time of asking, can they do more than just survive in the division this season? As for Ayr United, well, they were in the playoff mix last season. A Scott Brown side undoubtedly will want to go one better next season. They'll have an eye on promotion, that is for sure. It is an exciting moment, the start of the Scottish League season. Join us for Sports Scene, 7:30 on BBC Scotland and iPlayer.
Well, that's the looking forward, but let's look back now, shall we? Because there were some mixed fortunes for Scottish teams in Europe last night. Both Hibernian and Midtjylland scored in extra time, but it was this overhead kick from the visitors which ended Hibs' hopes of Europa League qualification. They still have a chance to qualify for the Conference League. That is the same round as Dundee United, whose 1-0 victory over Unistrazen in Luxembourg means they progressed in Europe for the first time in 28 years. Swimming and Great Britain have won their first gold medal at the World Aquatics Championships in Singapore, reclaiming the 4x200 metre freestyle title, with this man, Duncan Scott, triumphing in the final leg. The Olympic gold medalist was joined by fellow Olympic champions Matt Richards, James Guy and Jack McMillan. They finished more than 1 second ahead of their Chinese opponents in 6 minutes and 59.84 seconds. To rugby, and some bad news from the women's camp ahead of their final test tomorrow against Ireland. They'll be without Holly Cunningham, who's also set to miss the World Cup, which kicks off in 3 weeks. But that sets up a dream debut for Edinburgh fly half Hannah Ramsey, who's been handed her first start after coming on for 8 minutes in last week's test against Italy. The 21-year-old says she's relishing the opportunity to impress ahead of selection for the squad to face Wales in the opening World Cup tie.
Last week, training went really well, so I almost felt quite prepared in terms of going on, so I could just enjoy the experience and I felt, just ready to do it and enjoy every minute. This week's a bit different, but again, I've got the right people around me to direct me, and I think it's just about putting the team in the best position to play Wales when we come to that.
There we go, Laura, that's the sport for tonight.
Thank you. Before you go though, do you have a favourite superhero?
I certainly do. I am a big Spider-Man fan. I maybe preferred Batman when I was wee, but you can't go wrong with
I thought you were going to say Iron Man, but never mind. Thank you.
That was an open goal.
Open goal, never mind. Now, Glasgow is becoming pretty used to hosting Hollywood productions, and now Spider-Man is the very latest swinging into town. The last instalment in the franchise, which stars Tom Holland and Zendaya, is using Glasgow as a mock-up of New York. Gillian Sharp has been on their trail.
Hollywood comes to Glasgow, transformed over the last few days into America. Street signs, flags, vehicles, the city's grid layout and buildings, making it easy to dress. It's got the city centre buzzing, some even travelling to see behind the scenes of a major movie.
We've came through from Dundee just to have a little look at the filming, see if we can spot any celebs, and just have a look to see what's going on.
It's outstanding, a great promotion for the city. Being a Spider-Man fan from Glasgow, I can't get enough of it.
It's just a great atmosphere for Glasgow, something different, something new, and I'm looking forward to see it come out.
I originally thought it was for President Trump, but then I find out it's they're shooting the movie here.
The most recent Spider-Man film was 4 years ago. Now actor Tom Holland returns as the web-wielding superhero. Other major film productions have also chosen Glasgow as a location. It's doubled as Philadelphia and New York. So what do these kind of productions bring?
For Glasgow, this means opportunities for accommodation, for service industries, for hospitality, some opportunities for film crews as well. But these things are rather like cruise ships. They arrive, they dock in town, they unload largely their own staff into the city, and then after a few weeks they leave again. It's great opportunities for freelancers, I would absolutely say that.
Road closures affect different parts of the city over the next while as the filming takes place. The City Council says film and broadcast brings a significant economic boost, and they work with companies to minimise the impact on the daily lives of residents and businesses. Gillian Sharp, reporting Scotland, Glasgow.
Well, time now for the all-important weather forecast with Judith. We were talking about this Unusual summer storm that's coming, but are we going to get a wee bit of brightness?
Yes, we are. In fact, just paying homage to the Edinburgh Festival there. It'll be a glorious day in Edinburgh tomorrow. Warm and sunny, the calm before the storm, if you like. So, and it is a one-day wonder. It will clear away. We're left with a bit of a windy day on Tuesday, but then settling down come Wednesday. So, but this could be quite an impactful storm, one to keep tuned to the forecast for. And I will be here to take you through the weekend as well. Thank you very much. Good evening to you. We'll look at that lovely Shetland. Saw the best of the sunshine today. We had a ridge of high pressure. That will continue to be the case through tonight and into tomorrow. This system bringing some rain tomorrow night, but that pulls away very quickly on Sunday. And then not a bad day to come on Sunday, but then it's all eyes on Storm Floris as it makes tracks across Scotland, the Atlantic to Scotland, bringing a swathe of very high winds. You can see the squeeze on the isobars there. Now, the track of the low is not entirely certain yet. It's coming our way, but we'll find out more during the course of the weekend. It is an evolving situation, and I'll be here to take you through that all weekend and indeed on Monday as well. Now, as far as this evening and tonight's concerned, it's dry with increasingly clear skies as we head through the overnight period. Temperatures will fall to around 6 or 7 Celsius through parts of eastern Scotland, maybe the odd mist patch here and there, more typically around 8 to 10 degrees. So a glorious start to the day tomorrow. Lots of dry, sunny weather, a lovely summer's day. In fact, in the west, we'll start to see a bit more cloud coming in, courtesy of one of those fronts. But the northern isles feeling very well. Light winds, lovely sunshine, and indeed highs of 17 Celsius here. And indeed across eastern Scotland, we will see the highest temperatures around about 22 or 23 for Angus through Tayside into Fife, East Lothian and the eastern borders, Edinburgh as well. Around about 19 and 20 in the west, and we pick up on that frontal cloud over North Argyll, the West Highlands, across Skye and the northwest and the Western Isles as well. But still 17 Celsius. Winds will start to freshen here later in the day. So here comes that rain again as it moves in across Western Scotland, tracking across the country on Saturday night with us first thing on Sunday, but it does clear away fairly quickly in its wake, brightening skies and also a scattering of light showers, a westerly breeze pushing those showers through, so the best of the sunshine and the highest temperatures will be in the east. It will feel that bit fresher on Sunday, but pleasant nonetheless. So all eyes on Storm Floris. Here it comes across Scotland on Sunday, Monday I should say. As I mentioned, it will firm up on the track of that low as we head through the course of the weekend. But already the Met Office do have a yellow weather warning for widespread high winds across the country. Severe gales will be in the forecast as well, but also some strong winds. Again, that warning will be updated as we head through the course of the weekend. So some very heavy rain coming in with that storm as well. But it all peaks through fairly quickly, and it will be windy right across the board, widespread gales. And we'll find out the detail tomorrow and for Sunday. Monday.
OK, Judith, many thanks indeed. Now, tonight's main news again. Police are searching for a man who sexually assaulted an 8-year-old boy who was camping with his family in the Highlands. Judith and I will be here with your late news just after 10:30. Until then, from all the team, do enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.